Welcome into another episode of 4th and 5, sponsored by Ortho Arkansas, as we are getting set for Let Grant Cook, as we're about to talk about the O-line play against Missouri and a few other things we want to address as well. So I got Grant here with me. Grant, before we get into anything, all of this is made possible by DDK, and I feel like they are part of our family now, man. I absolutely love DDK, and you are the perfect person to talk about everything they got going on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, DDK, great folks over there. I want to highlight one property, and DJ, I'm going to ask you to roll some pictures, roll some footage here of this property.
Yeah.
Price Creek is the name of this property. Super cool. And you guys are like,
so, I think my dogs got real pumped up about Price Creek. You know what I mean? They can't wait to get out there. I got hunting dogs. All right, I got hunting dogs, so they're ready.
Well, that's perfect for this property. So, you guys, all the hunters out there, if you've ever dreamed of hunting in Montana or something, I can tell you that this looks like it came out of Yellowstone. And you're seeing the pictures right now. DJ does it right. You're going to see the creeks running through and the snow on the ground. It looks super cool. One thing that's really neat about this property is it's adjacent to the Ouachita National Forest. So you can have more hunting land by not having to purchase hundreds or thousands of acres. It's already right next to you. So you can come into your land, drive to the back edge of it, and access parts of the National Forest that others may not be able to get to. I personally have had land that's next to WMAs, wildlife management areas, where you can jump into other areas of your property, cross the fence, and walk through to those and gain a little bit of maybe untouched land that you can almost treat as your own. So once again, go out there, take a look on the website. DJ is going to post a link in the comments to this property as well as the entire website. Go take a look. It's well worth it. Great folks over there at DDK.
Yeah, I like it, Grant, and it won't be long. Hopefully one day we can get out there and see what that land is all about. We'll just figure that out a little bit later. All right, man, let's get into this game film. Last regular season game of the year. We got to talk about the offensive line play. And, Grant, I'll be honest, going back watching tape, even though we lost, outside of those turnovers, wasn't bad football, in my opinion. I mean, let me know what you're thinking. I think you're going to start with the very first play of the game. We talked about setting the tone. What do you think?
Yeah, so, some good, some bad here, and we'll get into the tone of it first. I think we fire off the ball here and really try to hit him in the mouth, and I love a run play to start the game, especially in a cold snow game, not trying to be someone you're not, throw the ball, whatever, coming downhill. But I do want to jump into the technique, all right? Lucas, we talk about aiming point on everywhere. Right, we talked about it each week on someone that had a bad aiming point. So this one is, I'm just gonna say not the best aiming point. All right, looks like he's got a guy that's head up on him, so maybe I can understand it a little bit. But he's got a down block here, and he comes off the ball, hits that inside shoulder. You got to know where the ball is wanting to go. All right, we're wanting to get outside here. You can see the tackle and the center pull. They're going to kick out and run up. And he is immediately trying to fight that pressure of the defensive end is. And so I would love to see maybe more of a head up or get your head across the defensive lineman so he can't flow to the outside. And you'll see it doesn't really affect the play that much because it kind of gets tied up in the wash. But what ends up happening is Addison Nichols gets kind of taken out of the play by cleaning up Luke's mess here on a bad aiming point. But what I really like to see, now it's the first play of the game, so everyone should be fresh, is Amarian Harris is hauling some tail downfield to go find somebody. I mean, if Dubinion breaks this first tackle, I mean, we may be to the house, man. I love that. So it's a play where the defense, it's really hard for them to be right. But everyone else coming off the ball, really trying to set a tone here for what we're about on that day.
You know, Grant, when you talk about these small, intricate things that make all the difference in the world, I want to let our viewers know, if y'all watch here in the Arkansas area and you know people in high school, you got friends, I want y'all to share exactly what I'm saying. Grant, I haven't even told you this, but I want to eventually work one day and to get into the area of getting involved with some high school athletes. And I could see one day having a little 4th and 5 O-line clinic with Grant Cook I think that'd be amazing. So, viewers, let us know what you think about that. If that's something you think would be pretty cool, advantageous for not just student athletes trying to get to the next level and learn a few things. Sorry about a little football, but I think I'm just trying to figure out ways that 4th and 5 can expand and grow because we've already started something special. I just want to keep it going. When you said all those small things, it made me think of that, Grant. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Like I said, we're going to run through this one, all right? Because, like I said, there's really not a lot of bad stuff on tape. So we're going to highlight some areas where they did fairly well. But I think this one we're going to skip ahead to maybe a big turning point in that game, obviously a turnover, and we'll address turnovers here in a second.
Yeah, so we'll jump ahead to 7 minutes, 1 second left in the first, and it's kind of where the first bit of adversity hits in this game for us, which is the Talon fumbling, and not only fumbling, but fumbling it on our side of the 50. So giving them the ball in plus territory. We'll go through a couple of things here first, and then we'll jump in to talk a little bit about the turnovers, but. We've talked about it some this year when defensive lines like to run games. And so when I say games, a defensive tackle going out and an end looping around, right? We've seen some of that on film. And we always talk about how important it is for the offensive line to stay together and stay flat and really pass those things off. And when you get on different levels, the defensive line gets what they want. They get movement, and then now the offensive line's trying to stay on a block and you're in the backfield. You can't pass it off cleanly and keep the pocket clean. And that led to Talon having to, feel that pressure and look to run. So we'll play the clip here. You can see Marion Harris and Josh Braun. They get on different levels in this game, and it causes a little bit of pressure in the backfield. On the other side of the ball, Carmona's one-on-one over here, and he's not one-on-one. He's in the slide pro. So what do we talk about in the slide pro as a defensive or offensive tackle? Set deep. You got help to the inside. Don't get beat to the outside. Don't let them turn the corner on you. And he does here. I don't hate his set, but really it's like he just thought he's trying to shadow that inside number like we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. In this scenario, he's got help to the inside. I mean, you can see Kudus break off and try to go help him, but the guy's beating him to the outside. Kudus is rendered useless on this play because he can't help. There's no way you can get to him. So Talon feels that pressure, and what does he do? He does what he does really well, which is take off and run, but he's carrying the ball like a loaf of bread, right? That's the oldest saying in football. He's just palming that football, running around, arm on it. I'm not a ball carrier. I never carried the ball one single time in college. But I know you got to get that thing high and tight, man. And
you got to get it here, baby.
Like this, especially in a game like that, ball is hard as a rock and slippery when it's so cold like that. I mean, you're prone to fumble anyways, but carrying it that way. And what happens, I mean, this has been the tale of the tape in all of our losses. So I went back and looked at all of the film and all of the stats for the games that we lost this year. So far, 6 games, right? In those 6 games, we turned the ball over 14 times and returned the favor twice.
Oh, Lord.
In 6 games. So, I think it just goes to tell you that if you're the team that is turning the ball over in these instances, that it's really, really hard to win games. And if you go back and look at the Oklahoma States and the Texas A&Ms of the world, the turnovers cost us 2 games in that in early in the season. And find one person out there in Razorback Nation that is complaining about 8-4 than they are 6-6. I mean, 8-4 is a lot different season than 6-6.
Different ball game.
And we're talking about just taking care of the ball, something that we already possess. And so, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
It really just comes down to an exaggerated emphasis on protecting the ball. And like I'd be shocked if that's not happening, but it's to what degree of like I said, even when I played at Arkansas, I would run a little bit loose like that, and I got away with it sometimes. But in the next level, dudes are a lot faster, and they close that gap a lot quicker. And all we did in our first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of practice in Green Bay, ball security drills. We had balls wrapped in silk to make them a little bit slicker with tethers attached to them and somebody just jerking at them at all times. And so it was just ingrained at us. And I talked about this in our viewer comments Wednesday of just ball security, ball security, ball security. And I think that needs to be amplified when you are a team that is leading the nation in fumbles. And that's where Arkansas is. And so I think it's something that could be addressed. And unfortunately, it's cost us to lose so many games. And then there's, as you know, Grant, sometimes football just happens, it is, and you really can't do anything about it. But there are some times when I think when running backs finish these runs or tailings in the pocket or scrambling, there are times that they could do a better job, and it is in their control to not put that ball in a position to potentially be popped out, especially when they try to run over people and get extra yards. Because you see NFL guys they go from one arm, as soon as contact gets there, they run like this.
I was just about to say that. I watched the San Francisco game last week. I cannot remember who they played. It was a snow game. Mm-hmm. Oh, they played was it Buffalo? I think they played Buffalo. Anyway, long story short, Christian McCaffrey running the ball, right? They were toting it. It was very similar to this game. They got away from the passing game. Both teams did. And it was just like old school downhill football. But I actually watched that. Every time he broke through, he'd break like 15, 20-yard run. As soon as he knew he was about to get hit, you saw that other arm come over. He was like bear hugging this football.
Yes.
And bam, getting hit and then going to the ground. And it was like, there was a difference there. And then going back and looking at this game, two fumbles, three fumbles with one that we recovered, so it wasn't lost. But, in a game like this where offense is hard to come by and one mistake kills you. You saw it time and time again. A penalty here, a penalty there. On both sides, if you got a penalty and got behind the sticks, that drive was done. That they were going to punt. And turning the ball over on our own 35, our own 40, our own 30, giving them every opportunity to go score absolutely kills you in a game like this. Even if you don't get the first down, kicking the ball, putting them on their side of the field is just as good of an opportunity to get the ball back as any. When, like I said, offense is really hard to come by this week. So
yeah. I got to ask you this, and I know we typically watch a lot of film, but I think this is important, and we got to be tight because I know you are very limited on battery life over there. It's all good. I got to ask you this because a viewer did ask this question. And we could show a few more clips of this game, and I'm going to give a shout out to the O-line. Man, y'all showed some really good stuff on tape, and it was very cool to see physical, the run game. They were able to really move the ball when they wanted to outside of those turnovers. Somebody asked me, I can't remember who the viewer was. I wish I could go back and throw the comment on the screen. If I can't find it, I apologize. He said he had a question for you, Grant. He wanted to know from week 1 till now, has the offensive line improved?
So I think they've improved in areas. And one area I think they've improved in is understanding their assignment. I still think there's some opportunity on technique. And I think one of the confusing things for me is one week they look unstoppable. And I'll take Tennessee, for example. Unbelievable game against a defensive line that arguably is one of the best in the nation. And then you follow it up in a subsequent week or a week after, and it looks like it's some of these guys' first time being out there. And so for me, it's like, where is the consistency? So I do think they've improved overall. I think if you took a grade from the first couple of games to now, when we talk about Oklahoma State, everyone thought, oh, no, this is the same offensive line from last year and blah, 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 to Missouri, where they looked like they knew what they were doing. They fired off the ball. They had great toughness, grit, and technique. So, yes, I think overall there's been an improvement there. But there's still some inconsistencies that, that I'm over here like, what are you thinking here? What are you thinking there? But it's been really cool to see the progression. And I think that a lot of these guys individually have gotten better over the year. And then as a unit, we had some Blackstock was in there and Kudus was in there. So we kind of switched a few things up here and there halfway through. But I do think they've gotten better as a unit overall. And I hope that some of these guys can come back so we can continue to have that same 5 guys up front. That's huge in the offensive line world is the continuity and who's playing and who's not.
Grant, like I said, we got pretty much nothing to do to the bowl game as far as covering the Razorbacks. I say that there's going to be a whole bunch of action going on in transfer portal and all this, but I think it'd be cool if you, myself, Matt, and Josh really go back, watch the film, and try to give out grades. We could do it by position or we could do it by player. We'll see how much time we got. By player is a different ball game.
Yeah.
Position probably a little bit
Especially
easier.
for offensive line, man. I'm watching the same game 5 times. So
Yeah, but I think that'd be really cool, and I'd be curious about how that matches up with these power football focused things and what they get graded out from their own teams. So, Grant, I appreciate you as always. Thank you for your time, my friend, and I want people to know that just because Arkansas ain't playing for a while, we still got much more coming up. We could do a little special edition for this SEC championship coming up as well, and try to be fair and unbiased when it comes to covering those teams as well. Grant, appreciate you. DDK, we appreciate you as well. I'll see you soon, Grant.
all right. Thanks. Go Hogs.